let's juxtapose a little bit before we move on totally to the next topic, which we're going to talk about Steve Baker, journalist at the Blaze, momentarily. But let's look. Joe Biden did make a public appearance just the other day. You know, he's given these long form interviews to people at the New York Times, and he also ventured out into the wild about a week ago to go do a guest spot on Seth Meyers. Oh boy, because this is the place where you go when you want to be taken very seriously and you're not trying to be guarded by some ghoulish comedians.
The late night, we're here with President Joe Biden. You mentioned some classified materials, some documents recently leaked, some classified documents. And this isn't a gotcha show, but I do want to ask about it. That says you are currently 81 years old.
Listen, he wants to just lay it down, okay? This is a serious program.
Who the hell told you that?
Yeah.
That's classified.
That's classified. All jokes aside, according to recent polling, this is a real concern.
So this is his best showing. This is the best he's going to be able to do. He can sit on a couch for 20 minutes. They pump him full of adrenochrome, and they send him out there. He tries to hold it together for 10, 15 minutes at a time.
Concern for American voters. How do you address that concern going forward as you come up to the 2024 election?
Well, a couple things. Number one, you got to take a look at the other guy. He's about as old as I am, but he can't remember his wife's name.
Yeah.
And number one.
Dude, you know what's really crazy too? You know that Seth Meyers' staff fed Joe Biden jokes and bits that Seth is going to set up for him. And he's staring off to the side of the stage. Is he looking at cue cards? Where are those eyes at? Seth is over there, Joe. He's behind the desk.
Number two, it's about how old your ideas are. Look, I mean,
holy shit.
This is a guy who wants to take us back. He wants to take us back on Roe v. Wade. He wants to take us back on a whole range of issues that are 50, 60 years. They've been solid American positions. And
like what? Other than Roe v. Wade, they throw all of these kind of social things out there because they know that's what their base cares about. Their base cares about things that affect them individually in that kind of way. Something like not having unfettered access to abortion. It's not like it was banned.
And I really mean this sincerely. I think it's about the future. And every single thing we've done, I think we've got some good things done. Everything, and they told us we couldn't get them done because things were so divided.
Yeah, of course.
But I think everything we've gotten done.
It's been really good.
Just friendly stated he wants to do away with if he gets elected. And I really think.
Like what? Like closing the border, bringing manufacturing back to America, becoming oil dependent, energy dependent, or independent rather. Excuse me. Listening to too much Joe Biden.
His views on where to take America are older than. Anyway, I don't want to get going.
You talked about bipartisanship and that you could actually work across the aisle.
His brain just let out. There's like, we got nothing, Joe. We got nothing. Look at his face. He's in trouble now. What? Where am I?
When you ran in 2020, I was one of the people who thought that was maybe a foolish proposition, but you have gotten things done. Infrastructure chips, Inflation Reduction Act, some gun safety. You even got an immigration bill.
It's all working. Holy shit. Sorry, everybody. Fucking thing just completely shit the bed for a second there. Thankfully, I was able to get it back quickly.
For agenda, because I feel like we live in such crazy times that is one of the things I feel we hear less about.
Look, the 2020 agenda is to finish the job. For example, we're now in a position where we have the strongest economy of any major nation in the world, number one. We've got a way to go yet. Inflation is down, 880,000 manufacturing jobs. We have 14 million new jobs. The unemployment rate is the lowest it's been for the longest time. We're building wealth for people. But we have to do more. First thing I have to do is stop it from being turned around. For example, you talked about the border didn't pass. Well, guess what? We're going to pass that border. It's overwhelmingly supported by Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate. But because I don't know.
Well, it's because your border bill had a ton of other things attached to it. Money going to lots and lots of other places, Joe.
this for a fact, but I was told that
Not to the
Trump
border.
was picking up the phone, calling the Speaker of the House saying, don't let it pass. Why? Not because he doesn't think it's good, because it will benefit Biden. That's no way
Now,
to...
this is this talking point that he killed the bill because he thought it would be, you know, politically expedient for him for the border to be a mess. But I have yet to see anybody explain to me how that border bill would have stopped anything that's currently happening.
To run a country. That's no way to deal. We didn't even when we had real divisions back when I was a young senator among Democrats and Republicans. That wasn't the way it worked. And look, I think, let me put this is not your father's Republican Party. They got about 30% of the Republican Party control.
Do you think it's your father's Democratic Party, the party of rich elitists that send their mongoloid retards out onto the streets to burn down cities and shit? You think that's your father's Democratic Party, the party of the working class? Is that what's going on, Joe?
At all, and I think we're going to break it.
One of the things about this is not your father's Republican Party. It must be for somebody who's been doing this as long as you have. You can't get aid for Ukraine passed. And it seemed like for a long time, the American people agreed that Russia was the threat. And all of a sudden now you see a Republican Party that is basically refusing to aid Ukraine in their fight against. Seems like Donald Trump is saying Russia could...
Well, you see, Seth, you know, money doesn't actually work via printing press. You can't just pump dollars out that we don't have. We can't give people money that we don't fucking have. Can't give them resources that we don't really have to give, Seth. And at some point, you have to start asking yourself, like, you know, what is the plan here, guys? We just going to give them a blank check forever?
Can do whatever they want to NATO countries.
Not
Are you
seems
shocked?
like that's what he is saying. He's been saying it all along. He's been saying it when he ran the last time.
Yeah.
Look,
Russian
the idea
asset.
that any American, think about this. If I told you all there was going to be an American president who said to Putin, come do whatever you want to NATO. If the other guys on our team don't pay up every single cent they promised to pay for it.
What?
I mean, God, what are we talking
The
about?
fuck are you talking about, Joe? Hagbert says, money machine go brrrr.
What in God's name? How the idea that the president of the United States is inviting Vladimir Putin to invade Western countries? It's bizarre, absolutely bizarre, and it's totally against our interest. And by the way, I've known every major foreign leader for the longest time, and I know all these guys extremely well. They're scared to death what it means for them, what it means if we walk away. Madeline Albright.
You mean all of these countries that are like on fucking fire right now? Is that what you mean? They'd probably be pretty happy if somebody with a little bit more of a, I don't know, an iron fist was involved in global politics.
It was right, the former Secretary of State. She said, we are the essential nation. We are the essential nation. We don't have people fighting in those areas, but we're providing the wherewithal for them to be able to protect themselves. And it's just outrageous what he's talking about.
He talked about how he wants to be a dictator on day one, but only day one. You are someone who has dealt with dictators over the years.
Like, you know, for professional comedians, they have a real hard time spotting, what are they called? Jokes. I think he was kind of, it's like a figure of speech. I'm going to be a dictator for a day because he's going to do the same thing that all of these fucks do, which is make a bunch of executive actions, a bunch of executive orders coming down the pike day one, just like you all do. You're all fucking dictators for a day. He just has the gumption to say it, I suppose.
It does seem as though democracy, in vague terms somehow, is not easy for us to grasp. Having dealt with dictators, what do you see in a world where democracy is actually at risk in a way it might be in this election?
The first thing they do, the dictators do, is they disregard whatever the rule of the law is. They just disregard it. Here's the guy.
Is this called a confession through projection? I believe that's the technical term for what's happening right now. Yes, Joe Biden really concerned with lawlessness.
He says he thinks he can change the Constitution and ignore it. Just ignore portions of the Constitution. Here's the guy who talks about retribution. Here's the guy, look, you have...
Actually, he literally spoke against that, Joe Biden. He says, we don't need retribution. Our revenge will be our victory. Just winning and being able to do correct some of the wrongs, that is our revenge. He said that not even that long ago.
The thousands of people who stormed the Capitol, they're insurrectionists.
Thousands of people stormed the Capitol, Joe? I thought it was like 900 people. Whoa, that walked through the Capitol.
Cops died. Other people were badly hit.
Holy shit. Look at he's still repeating the same lies. 2 cops died.
People who stormed the Capitol, they're insurrectionists. 2 cops died. Other people were badly hurt. And what did he say? They got convicted and or they pled guilty. And he said, they're patriots? God, patriots? And he says he's going to forgive them all. Every one of them is going to be released. That's what happens in Eastern Europe.
He's fading. He's 5 minutes, 57 seconds in. He's fading. He's starting to be like, okay, Seth, bail me out.
European countries. That's not what happens in America. And the idea that he thinks he can do that, the idea he talks.
He can. If he's president, he can. What do you mean, like your predecessors who literally let out fucking violent terrorists on their way out the door? Have you heard of the Weather Underground, Joe? Hagbard says yes, and they beat cops to death with fire extinguishers. You know what that needs. You know what that calls for.
Okay. God damn. Okay. Well, that's good info, man.
It's about things like, for example, the idea that he said the Congress wants to pass an overwhelmingly a border provision that would allow us to control the border. First bill ever introduced called for that. And here he's saying, no, don't do that. Because
then why are you suing Texas for trying to enforce their immigration policy? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, it is so bizarre. Like, imagine being like Seth Meyers and you're sitting here and you're listening to this, and I have to imagine he knows at least some of this is not true, demonstrably false. And yet he just sits there and smiles and nods. When did it happen? You know? Everybody on late night became a literal propagandist. They became just an extension of the DNC.
Help Biden. Help Biden. It's not about Biden. It's about the United States of America. And look, I don't want to get started.
Yeah, I don't want to get started. No, Joe, it's because you just lost your train of thought. It's a good trick, though. It's a good trick. It's just too much. It's just, I can't even get into it right now. Yeah, it was a real knee slapper, Seth. What a fucking hack.
I really don't.
Yeah, I get it.
Democracy is at stake. It literally is.
I want to ask about the situation right now in the Middle East. You've forcefully spoken about the horrible events of October 7th and how Hamas is a continuing threat to the safety of the people who live in Israel. You've been negotiating, trying to...
Where are all these pro-Palestinian people? Shouldn't you go and picket the Seth Meyers show, please? Could you guys go down to, where is he, Rockefeller Center? Wherever the fuck he is. Go there.
Negotiate the release of the hostages. At the same time, you've said that the response in Gaza is too much and that the loss of an innocent life in Gaza is just as horrible as the loss of an innocent life in Israel. And yet there have been calls for an immediate ceasefire. You have not supported those calls. Again, you seem like an optimistic person. You believe maybe...
What is he doing? Have you ever seen somebody just fucking dead? He's just a corpse. Just staring off into nothing.
Maybe there's a future for a two-state solution, but from where I'm sitting, it does seem like there doesn't seem to be any appetite for that right now.
Prava says, at least when I lose my train of thought on Zubak, it's because I'm blazed out of my gourd. You know, I had a very similar sentiment. I was thinking the same thing.
Because again, we see this horrible, every day we see these horrible images out of Gaza. And is there a path forward? Is there a
what is he going to ask me?
Future for the people?
Why are you doing this to me,
Seth? There is a path forward with difficulty, but here's the path forward. Look, first of all, the hostages being held must be released. And then we've got at least a principle agreement, there will be a ceasefire while that takes place. Ramadan's coming up, and there's been an agreement by the Israelis that they would not engage in activities during Ramadan as well, in order to give us time to get all the hostages out. That gives us time to begin to move in directions that a lot of Arab countries are prepared to move in. For example, Saudi Arabia is ready to recognize Israel. Jordan.
Oh, they were, Joe. They were a few years ago. I don't know what, something happened. Something's different about American leadership. Something's different.
There's Egypt. There's 6 other states. I've been working with Qatar. And the bottom line is that I think the only way Israel ultimately survives, and I make no bones about it. I get criticized for having said a long time ago, you need not be a Jew to be a Zionist. I'm a Zionist. Were there no Israel, there's not a Jew in the world to be safe. But here's the deal. They also have to take advantage of an opportunity.
There's somebody like there's one of his handlers in the back is like, no, Joe, shut the fuck up. Shut up. We need to get these people to vote for you, Joe.
To have peace and security for Israelis and Palestinians who are being used as pawns by Hamas. And so there's a process underway that I think if we get that temporary ceasefire, we're going to be able to move in a direction where we can change the dynamic and not have a two-state solution immediately, but a process to get to a two-state solution, a process to guarantee Israel's
like what?
security and the independence of the Palestinians, but without them being able to, for example, invite in another country to provide their defenses. There's ways to do this, and I don't have time to go into it now, and in the meantime, there are too many innocent people that are being killed. And Israel has slowed down the attacks in Rafah. They have to, and they've made a commitment to me. They're going to see to it that there's ability to evacuate significant portions of Rafah before they go and take out the remainder of Hamas. But it's a process. And look, Israel has had the overwhelming support of the vast majority of nations. If it keeps this up without this incredibly conservative government they have, and Ben-Gvir and others, I've known every major foreign policy leader in Israel since Golda Meir, they're going to lose support from around the world. And that is not in Israel's interest.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that because
I bet you wish the best of luck. Okay, let's finish out the Joe Biden, then we're going to move on because Amy Poehler joined him on the couch, and she is a weirdo sycophant. First time I noticed this was, this must be the first segment. She stuck around for the first segment before they got into some serious talk, before they were very explicit and direct. Amy Poehler got to hang out. I remember watching Parks and Rec and being just so like disillusioned whenever they would have actual real politicians on, and you would see her character act like a sycophant because she's a government sycophant, but it's really just Amy Poehler. It's really just who she is. And it was such a fucking bummer. It's like Stephen Colbert. Like, I used to really enjoy Stephen Colbert, especially back in the Strangers with Candy days. I used to really like Amy Poehler. Back in the Upright Citizen Brigade days. Remember that show? Remember that show on Comedy Central? One of the best sketch comedy shows of all time. And here she is. Just a fucking stooge.
Everybody, we're here with my very good friend Amy Poehler. We were talking about the first show back in 2014. Your fellow guest, he was kind enough to follow you that night, Vice President Joe Biden.
Yeah, that was very special. Very special.
He was a class act.
Yeah.
We did try to get him for our 10-year anniversary show. Obviously, he got his bigger job now, so he was unavailable.
Oh, you couldn't get him?
I couldn't get him, no.
Oh, I could get him. Hey, Mr. President?
I'm going to fucking die of secondhand embarrassment. All these people need to put their masks on, dude. Do they want this old man to die? What are they doing? Oh, look, poor Joe. He's over there. He's lost. He's over there. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be in the band. Look at these fucking star fuckers. Look at these fucking creatures. Holy shit.
Welcome back, Mr. President.
It's good to be back. Why haven't you invited me earlier?
Well, you know.
Well, Joe, because your handlers think you're a gaffe machine and they kind of don't let you out in public unless under very controlled circumstances, which I agreed to.
Oh, you were a busy guy. Did you think when you were here in 2014 this show would make it 10 years?
No.
Yeah. We appreciate the honesty, you know?
Holy shit.
No, you guys actually, you've been colleagues before. You worked together. You did an episode of Parks and Recreation. We talked about it back in 2014.
Are you kidding me? I bragged about that for a long, long time.
That was really fun.
That was before president. This was the best gig you ever had.
It's true. Like, you know, politics are just, you know, Hollywood for ugly people, and they desperately want to be a part of each other's circles. Like, it's so desperate. Like, somebody like Amy Poehler has like a lust for authoritarian blue tinge control, and Biden just wants to be an actor. Prophet says Joe Biden just starts fucking a stage light. You can't pull him off even though his dick is sizzling. It's like two dogs stuck together. There we go. Let's see if Joe Biden was a good scene partner. I know you're all so happy that I'm back.
The best gig I've ever had, period.
Yeah. How was Amy? How was the president as a scene partner?
Well, it was an awesome time to go to D.C. because we met with the then Mr. Vice President, Mr. President, Vice President, President.
That is right.
I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to get
Just so many of these the comedy stylings of Amy Poehler, everyone. Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
it wrong. But we met people from both sides of the aisle, and then if you remember, we did that scene together.
Also, appreciate you, Prophet and Hagberg, letting me know I was still alive.
And then
Didn't want to start jerking off to this video by myself. I like to have company with me.
you said to me, how should I act? And I said, just act like, what is this lady doing here? And you nailed it.
Joe couldn't remember. He's like, what was the scene we were in? What was the scene? Lord Sigma says, I'm using my betazoid powers to sabotage your interwebs. You probably do, you dirty Joe Biden voter.
I have one. I want to look to the future, but one last glance to the past. In 2014, you had just called LaGuardia a third world airport, and you had to fly into LaGuardia to come to this show. And the only reason I bring it up is LaGuardia, much to the chagrin of late night comics like myself, is a beautiful airport now. It's a beautiful airport. And it really does speak to what infrastructure spending can do. Sometimes it takes a long time.
Holy shit, dude. I mean, it's just like, how low is the fucking bar? Really?
But it's really worth it. Have you been to LaGuardia recently?
I have, but it didn't take me a hell of a long time.
Yeah.
The last guy had infrastructure week every week.
Yeah, you did.
But we actually got it done. How can you be the leading country in the world with it ranked number 13 in terms of infrastructure?
It's not good.
Not possible.
Yeah.
Not possible. But that's not the only thing we're doing.
Oh, that's what all the wanton lawlessness, violence, and destruction of the past couple of years, guys. It's just they're just taking it all down, destroying all that stuff so they can build back better. Of course.
You're getting a lot.
Hagberg, he would know, and Hagberg would know. He comes in with the good info. Says it's not. I flew in and out last year, and it was still a shithole. I kind of assumed so.
A lot of things changed.
You got a lot of things changed, and I want to ask about that, but there's something that I've been it just speaks to the era we live in now. There's a Dark Brandon conspiracy meme, and this is something that you seem to have a lot of fun with. You've co-opted Dark Brandon.
Yeah, guys, remember when he gave that speech drenched in red light, talking about how he was going to throw away all the fascists, all the evil insurrectionists? Remember that? And he was like slamming his fist down like a maniac. What a wonderful meme to co-opt.
And this is a yard sign. And do you enjoy playing around with the Dark Brand meme?
No, I resent the hell out of it.
Okay.
Why does he keep touching Amy Poehler? You know, I guess old habits die hard. He's like, you look, you know, to me, you're very young. You're like a child.
My favorite one recently is there are 18% of Americans, according to recent polling, have believe that you and Taylor Swift are actually working in cahoots. And after the
No, what they believe is that Taylor Swift will be deployed in the 2024 election, kind of like she was a little bit in 2020, to help garner the youth vote. You got to get the Swifties out there voting for Joe Biden. You know, there's nothing that 20-year-old girls like more than 82-year-old perverts.
Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, you posted this on social media and you wrote just like we drew it up. Now, I have you on the hot spot
Yeah, of course, you know, of course he clearly knows all about this.
here. Can you confirm or deny that there is an active conspiracy between you and Miss Swift?
Where are you getting this information? It's classified.
It's classified information?
That's classified
You won't
information.
share it with us?
I'm not gonna, but I will tell you, she did endorse me in 2020.
She did. I bet you might be wondering. You think it might come around again?
I told you it's classified.
I'm gonna ask you another question because we mentioned Parks and Rec, and Parks and Rec was a show that was about how government could actually help people, and it was a really optimistic show.
Yeah, it was a complete fantasy. About government bureaucracy is actually a really good thing, guys.
Real quick though, well, do you believe
It wasn't like a collection of fucking retarded characters that never seemed to get anything done. It wasn't anything like that. They got things done when the script said so, but nothing that they actually did would lead to the conclusions that take place on Parks and Rec.
any conspiracy theories?
Oh yeah, I do have one conspiracy. I think that an octopus is an alien.
Okay.
And the bottom of the sea floor is actually the top of the earth.
He's leaving. He's gonna go. I told you to stop telling people that.
Like, why aren't these people ridiculed for being fucking losers? Tremix says, found some random tape someone uploaded in 1990. Oh, interesting.
So if that's wrong,
Oh, you know what? I'm subscribed to this channel. I think I've actually seen this before.
don't spoil it for me.
All right, so Parks and Rec was about optimism. You,
Of course.
I believe, are more optimistic about this country
Yeah,
than
he's all about optimism. He's just telling everybody that Trump is going to install himself as a dictator and will refuse if he loses, will refuse the results of the election and will storm the Capitol once again.
certainly I am, that a lot of people are. Why do you continue to be optimistic about this nation despite everything that's happened in recent years?
Look, I tell every world leader, and I mean this sincerely, never underestimate the ability of the American people. There's nothing beyond our capacity, nothing. Think about it. Every single crisis we've ever been in, we've come out stronger than we went in. Everyone. And folks, it's because of you, not because of your leaders. Because
Yeah, no, and it's like, and once you're out of office, we'll have an opportunity to actually kind of learn from these mistakes and hopefully not make them again for at least 20 years. At least 20 years.
See, really and truly, the American people are incredible, and we're the best. You know, I was asked by Xi Jinping about when I was in the Tibetan mountains with him, and he said, "Can you define America for him?" I said, "Yeah, one word: possibilities." America believes anything is possible. And by the way, people step up.
Yeah, it's these kinds of fantasies that are why we're in the predicament we are right now. A lot of feel good stuff happening. A lot of emotional impulses going into decision making. Trelmick says, I despise everyone involved in SNL past 1999, and I'd say that's a good call. It's definitely a good call.
People here step up, and look what's happened. We got the best economy in the world now. We got a long way to go, but the best in the world now. We're gonna get
He has to qualify. I mean, we've got a long way to go, guys, but it's okay.
it better.
I have a lot more to ask you about what's coming up next. You guys, that's President Joe Biden.
That's President Joe Biden, everybody. Well, that was, oh my God. I don't even know if infuriating is the right word, but it feels like it is. All right, so now we're going to check in with our good dude here, Steve Baker. He's a journalist.